Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 493. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin. I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate,
how did you fit into your office today? How did you squeeze in through the door? Because I had to go remove the hinges off the door for that extra couple inches. Suck it in a little bit.
Yeah.
Slide.
Yeah, today was just rough, man. And shout out to all the folks out there who can empathize, sympathize, whatever the word is, with us. You know what today was like. Today was a grind. Today sucked. Well, I mean, I hope it didn't suck for you if you're listening or watching, but just they should have made this a holiday too. Like, just
sure,
give us like that bonus day after the Thanksgiving break. Like, let's collect ourselves.
How many did you get? A lot of automated emails like saying they're out of the office today.
Yeah,
I got a decent amount of those today, and I'm like, shame on my company for not doing that.
Well, driving into work, the traffic was little to none, so I'm like, these people in this area, for some reason, I guess, have just decided to extend their Thanksgiving. They've taken upon themselves to extend their break because there was nobody out today. So don't know what that was all about.
Genius. There's a few. Maybe we get a petition going on a few different things. I do think there was like this perfect plan that came out. I know this is a baseball podcast. Crazy that I'm talking about football, but there was a petition that came out that was like, if they add like an extra week or like remove one preseason week out of the schedule, it lines up perfectly for it to be like the Super Bowl to be the second week in February, which lines up with a Monday being a holiday. And then bang, you got your Monday off following a Super Bowl. I think that that should be like a standard. That Monday after Thanksgiving, I think day after Christmas should for sure be a holiday.
Give me Christmas Eve, Christmas, and a day to enjoy holiday. My gifts,
Exactly. What if I have some awesome toys to play with?
Think about
what if I
the
couldn't
kids.
Go get the batteries for the toys Christmas Day? I'd go get them the day after.
Think about the kids. This isn't about us.
It's not about us.
30-somethings. Think about the kids.
I don't get toys anymore.
Unbelievable.
We actually have officially gone no gifts. We sent that announcement out to the fam. No gifts, anybody. Don't get us anything. We're not getting you anything. Yeah.
Wow.
It's nice. I think we're gonna adopt a family, get them some gifts.
Look at you.
And just, make that day what it should be.
You're absolutely right. So I guess I'm off the hook then. I'm not sending you anything.
Don't send me anything, guy. I'm not sending you anything. Don't send me anything. That was from the podcast account. That's a whole different story.
Well, yeah, the podcast is paying for it at that point.
Yeah.
No,
podcast bonus.
I was definitely planning to send you something, but we may have to talk about this.
My bad. I forgot to include you in that announcement. Yeah.
All good. Speaking of gifts, the Dodgers just keep on adding to their haul. They're keeping Tommy Edman around, and I know if you're listening to this, you're going, "Oh, this happened days ago." We know we haven't recorded since then, so
crazy. There's something going on.
Yeah, it's just like
giving of thanks.
This big holiday. Be thankful we're even talking about it at this point. Keeping Tommy Edman around on a 5-year, $74 million contract extension. That'll keep him around through 2029. Do we like this deal? I'm a big Tommy Edman guy.
We've been on the Tommy Edman train for a while.
We've been on the Tommy Edman train a while.
Years back.
Yeah, and it you could say that it caught a little bit more steam with his performance in the postseason. But let the record show.
Let it show
That we were Tommy Edman guys before it was cool. Like this move for Tommy? Like this move for the Dodgers?
This is a no-brainer. I think it's a very solid realization of what Tommy Edman is. I don't think we can go overboard and just sit here and say he deserves a ton of money based on what he did this postseason, although he played great. Let's reel it in and take some of that recency bias out of it and understand, you know what? Had a little bit of an injury past. Can kind of blend in to fill in a gap, but not necessarily a necessary piece for this roster. So this is good, Tommy Edman. If you're Tommy, you're like, you know what? I'll take 5 years of guarantee. That sounds fantastic.
With a 6-year club option.
So there's a lot going on here that I like. The Dodgers seem to just be redefining how contracts are being done. And if you're a hater, anybody can do this. Every team can do this. It's an option.
I don't think teams know this.
I don't think they do.
I don't know how many more moves it's going to take on behalf of the Los Angeles Dodgers for the rest of Major League Baseball to realize, this is legal. The Dodgers aren't committing a crime in broad daylight by deferring these contracts. Like, we can do this too. I don't know why these teams have yet to realize that.
Yep. So it's almost like the pairing of a signing bonus with a deferment really makes a player pretty happy. You know what I mean?
It keeps the MLBPA happy.
It does. It's a win-win. It keeps the roster. It keeps the salary at a reasonable number for the most part. The deferment, hey, we're not going to get you that money right now because what is it, $25 million deferred?
7
over 10 years.
About a third, yeah, give or take 25. You got this $17 million signing bonus. About a third. I don't remember what the actual number was, but give or take 25.
I'm on Spot Track. It's saying $25 million is deferred at $2.5 million over 10 years. 5 years after the contract ends, which is presumably retirement age for Tommy. And you get that $17 million, as the bone. It's a win-win. It's a win-win for a player who I think fits in perfectly. A little bit of a safety net for Mookie. If the whole shortstop thing, are we going to try that again? We are going to try it again. We're telling free agents we're trying it again because we don't need you that much. I don't know. But it is a little bit of a safety net. And
is it like heresy to say that this is like a new and improved Chris Taylor?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they love their Chris Taylor types.
Yeah.
And this is further evidence that that's the case. That's the case moving forward.
Look, this is a move, dude. This is what I think every team needs. Every team needs a Tommy Edman.
But there aren't that many Tommy Edmans around baseball,
the key. That's the key. And boys and girls, it still pays to play really good defense, hit the ball line to line, good ABs, good base running.
And just be a gamer. Just be a gamer.
That's it. You don't got to be. Look, I'd love for everybody to be a superstar, but if everybody's a superstar, nobody's a superstar. There's only so many Mookie Betts. There's only so many Freddie Freemans. There's only so many Shohei Ohtanis. There's only one Shohei Ohtani. There's only so many of the guys that are the headliners. Somebody's got to get this job. Somebody's got to be a utility man. Somebody's got to hit seventh. Somebody's got to be, getting knocked in, scoring from first, right? Why not you? Somebody's got to get some of these lower level contracts. Why not you? It pays.
I mean, lower level. I'll gladly take a lower level contract at $74 million with a
sure will.
$17 million or $17 million signing bonus. I'll gladly take that.
Sure will. Sure will.
And the thing about Tommy though is he is one of the few in baseball that can actually fill out the title, the moniker, the role of super utility man. That gets thrown for some reason. I don't know what it is with reporters and journalists, habit of just tossing that around like it's nothing. Like not everybody's just because you can play multiple positions doesn't make you a super utility man. You have to be able to play them and play them somewhat similarly in terms of the output, in terms of the excellence that you're going to provide at that position. And Tommy Edman can bounce around and give you that type of output just about probably anywhere you'd ask him to play.
Well, how do you define super utility? What's that about for you?
Well, I mean, you have to play, for me, you got to play infield, outfield, but you also have to be able to play multiple within each. You don't have to, you don't have to play literally, like you don't have to play first, second, third, short, left, center, right in order to be a super utility man. But in a case like Tommy Edman or fill in the blank of whoever else we think fits that role, you got to be able to play maybe a couple middle infield spots and maybe a couple outfield spots and do it fairly well. Otherwise, you're just a utility guy.
I agree. I think that's the key. I'm not saying you got to go out there and win the utility Gold Glove, but I would categorize super utility as you're playing, no offense to the other positions, but if you're playing shortstop or center, plus, if you got other things going on, that checks that box for me. I will call you super utility.
Also fair. Yep.
I don't think you see a ton of. I would throw catcher into that if that ever becomes a thing. It's not really a thing. You're either a catcher or a backup catcher, or occasionally slotting at first base. I think if that ever was a day where you're like, hey, I'm lacing it up behind the dish, and then the next day I'm in center, then you want to throw it back to middle school Nate days, then you can call yourself super utility for sure. But realistically, yeah, I think if shortstop or center field are in one of your positions that you're playing, I won't even say weekly, I'll say bi-weekly, chalk it up for super utility. Otherwise, you're just a utility. No offense. Somebody's got to have that role too. Somebody's got to play first and third, sneak in at left field, whatever it is. But yeah, super utility. That's kind of like, where we have that definition of ace versus number one starter. There's only so many aces in the planet. Plenty of number one starters. Somebody's got to be a number one. There's utility, and then there's super utility. Tommy Edman, healthy, super utility.
Speaking of aces, Frankie Montas is not one of those. But
very good.
He was signed by the New York Mets in a move that I don't want to say shocked a lot of people, but I would venture to say in the midst of the Juan Soto sweepstakes that we find ourselves in the middle of, I would venture to say that the text alerts, the text notifications that were coming through, what was it, just the other day with Mets and sign.
Yeah.
I think the name that most people thought was about to, or maybe Mets fans at least, were hoping that followed would be Juan Soto. Mets signed Juan Soto. The Mets did not sign Juan Soto. They signed Frankie Montas. And, would I have gone after maybe Sean Manaea over Frankie Montas? Maybe.
What was the deal for?
2 years, $34 million. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say, I want to say trade rumors had him pegged at like 222. Yeah, 222. And he goes out and snags a $34 million contract over 2 years.
I don't get it. Look, I'm not here to be a hater. Get your money. If you can get signed, get signed. I'm trying to find where I'm seeing 17 a year. I mean, 150 innings last year. Okay. A 4.84 ERA. Okay. A 4.71 FIP, an 89 ERA plus. This is what $17 million a year is now. Like, there's a lot of names. I'm looking at this list. There's a lot of names I would take over this. There's a lot of names that I'd be like, here's an extra year.
I was literally just about to say, like, heck, take the extra year. Yeah, I'm with you.
You know? I can't connect these dots. I'm sorry. It's 32. I mean, there are a few guys that I think mass equals gas. But it seems like he just gets heavier every year. I don't know, man.
Well, because David Stearns was in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
Or how long has he been with the Mets? Because I thought I saw that there was a connection there between Montas and Stearns, and how this is like his reclamation project, if you will. But I may have misread that somewhere. Why am I forgetting where David Stearns came from?
Like, you're telling me you're not willing, with the upside, you're not willing to take a risk on a Shane Bieber?
Brewers in 2023.
For 17 a year, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you're the Mets, Frankie Montas is up for grabs if you don't sign him. He's up for grabs at the deadline, more likely than not. And you're not committing that much money. This is weird. This is weird. I don't like this. There's a lot of names I would take over. A lot of names. Are there any of these free agent names that are projected in the similar 2-3 year deal hovering around 15 to 20 million? I bet there's a lot. I bet there's quite a few guys in that club.
I mean, I just don't see it.
I would have definitely brought back Minaya.
He's
meant
pegged
an
at
extra
360.
Yeah. Like, if that's an extra year, you know what I'm saying? Like, fine. Like, I feel like he kind of earned that for you.
Kikuchi's off the books. Severino's pegged at 351. Eovaldi is 244.
I would have done that all day. All day.
I mean,
that would have been the move for sure.
244 for Eovaldi instead of 234. Yeah. We keep hearing about this pocketbook in New York or in Queens. Show it. Spend the extra 10 and go get Nate Eovaldi. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Please. Well, don't, because we need him in Boston, but you get my point.
Yeah, this is kind of a head scratcher for me. And I'm, again, like, if you're a Frankie Montas fan, you know, I apologize. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to come down on the guy. He doesn't really come across the radar very often for me. I'm struggling to see, like, where do the $9 to $12 million AAV contracts just not exist anymore? Because this to me is like that all day. 2 years, 18 would have been like, okay,
right.
no big deal.
And to your point about, sort of the market, it sort of begs the question, like, okay, so then what does this mean for guys like Flaherty, Fried, Burns, Eovaldi, guys like that? I mean,
It's got to go up. It's got to be in the 20s now. Like a solid.
I don't understand. After we saw what happened last year, and maybe even the year before that, in terms of the market and and how it was handled in the offseason, I wouldn't have expected there to be these overpays that we're seeing already.
Yeah.
Especially with just these middle tier arms that are nothing more than a middle to back end option for you.
Yeah.
I mean, good for the players. Like,
Right.
it's going to drive the market up for those guys, but it just seems a little inflated. I honestly don't know. I just don't know. Matthew Boyd, another guy, sort of in that same vein. I'm not gonna speak ill of Matthew Boyd, because he certainly showed out when he came back from injury last year. But
Yeah.
a 2-year, $29 million contract for the Chicago Cubs.
2-year, 29.
2 years, $29 million.
To me, like, again, this is still inflated. And nothing against Matthew Boyd, but like, you're telling me you had to get him now, you had to give him at that price? You're telling me that's a name that isn't available in a month for 8 to 10 million less?
I mean, that's just the nature of the market, like the nature of the beast, right? Like if we wait and wait on guys like I mentioned, Burns, Fried, and the like, and previously Snell, but Snell's now off the board. But and we've talked about it. We talked about it shortly after the offseason started. Once these names start dropping, you're gonna have these teams are gonna have to pivot, and especially a team. Well, the Mets would have been an example. But these teams, if they miss out on the guys that they're after, they're going to pivot and they're going to bully their way through that process because they have the money and they can spend. But because of that, am I crazy for thinking that the price would go up because that's just supply and demand, right? Like, a guy like Matthew Boyd, if you waited for Fried to fall, for Burns to fall, and then you're looking around, you're going, Matthew Boyd's really our only option here, like that. Then I'm not going to say it's going to be a bidding war over Matthew Boyd, but that's sort of what would happen. So you may, in that situation, you may be looking at like a 32-year, 33. I mean, it wouldn't be astronomical, but you would have to assume there'd be some sort of a bump. Right?
I don't know. I think I look at this class as like 3 different categories. I think you have your guys in your prime that are, 29 to 32 that are about to maximize their payday. And I think we all have that list at the top of our head. Then there's like this aging, close to end of the road veteran who has a super proven track record. And then everyone else seems to be like 33 and up and kind of a question mark, whether it's injury or has hit rough patches the last few years, statistically. Like and Matthew Boyd, look, he did look good last year in the games that he played. And I can see that there's maybe some upside there. But injury-wise, like, what do you got? You got something? Good. I don't want to talk about Matthew Boyd that much longer.
We have a massive signing update. Breaking news. Kyle Higashioka has signed a 2-year deal with the Texas Rangers with a mutual option in 2027. Hey, look, man, These teams are going out and getting who they want. The Kyle Higashioka must have been a target for the Rangers for some time. And they said, you know what? Why wait another day? We're going to go get our guy.
We can't. We just can't. We got to go get him now. Wow.
Huge day for the Texas Rangers. No, nothing but love for Higashioka. Seems like a good guy. Seems like a good cat.
That dude's sneaky.
I know.
Sneaky, funny, and dry. He's just kind of a boring dude on the outside. But apparently he's like the funniest guy in the clubhouse.
I don't see it, but I'll take your word for it.
I don't see it either. Yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
I don't see it either. Tell you what, man, there's something in the backup role, you know? I was just going to look up Jonah Heim versus lefties numbers because I wonder if they're just trying to transition him away from that, you know? If they're like, you know what, let's just let him stick to the left. Stick to the righties. It's not that bad. 679 OPS against lefties. Better off of lefties. I'm confused. I'm confused.
We gotta get better. This has to change. Like I was really trying to hold out some optimism for this offseason. And like I'm not throwing in the towel yet, but like all right.
We need something.
We're past Thanksgiving now. Like we gotta step it up.
Is it what was the straw on the camel's back for you? Me looking up Jonah Heim's numbers against lefties? Was that where you were like, you know,
it wasn't a high of this podcast.
We cannot be here. This is rock bottom.
We can't be talking about Matthew Boyd maybe earning a few more $1 million if he were to wait it out. Like this is where we're at. We can't be doing this. And it's not like indicative of what we're doing. It's just what we're dealt, like what we've been dealt as baseball fans. And like I know we got the Snell and the like, but it's the Dodgers. Like, give me something else. Like, we're due for a team not named the Dodgers to go out and make a splash. We're due for it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm trying to give you just tantalizing coverage and content of what's happening.
I mean, I bet you
current events. This is just.
I bet you the people that are listening and or watching, we're not expecting Jonah Heim numbers tonight. But you know what? Who else is bringing those to you at this very moment? Who else is bringing you Jonah Heim numbers right now?
Yeah,
we are. Shout out to the state of the hot stove right now. It sucks, but you know what? We're gonna make the most of it.
What kind of money did he get, Higgy?
Dude, you don't even want to know. No, I actually don't know. What did
don't
he
know?
get?
Just 2 years.
I mean, you heard the alarm. You heard the alarm.
I know it was either going to be huge or it was going to be like that, and
you heard the alarm. It's quite literally breaking news. That don't have the details on the contract yet.
Yeah.
He loves the fact that he can control his own soundboard.
Freaking love it.
Okay, but what doesn't make sense is the Rangers have already made it official. So if you have the team putting this announcement out there, how do we not know the details of it?
Put the money out there.
Come on now. You know what?
Something to work with.
Frankly, I don't even care enough to really dive into this any further. So you know what? We're going to talk about Brandon Crawford. Couple days out here from the news, but Brandon Crawford has announced his retirement after 14 seasons in the big leagues. Look, Brandon Crawford.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. I'm not going to say I'm a huge Brandon Crawford guy. Did I like Brandon Crawford? Yeah. Played the game hard. But But the thing with me, and it's sort of a tricky path to navigate, because like you never want to knock a guy for trying to get every last ounce out of his career and his ability. Like I'm never going to knock a guy for doing that. Although I will say there are some guys that we've seen probably in the last half decade that have maybe stretched that a little too much, and we're just like, okay, I think you've left no choice but to leave it into the hands of baseball fans to make this decision for you, and we're collectively saying it's time to retire. Not the case for Brandon Crawford necessarily. I mean, it didn't end well, but
it kind of was.
Yeah, we were really getting there. Well, let me clarify that. He had reached that point. I'm talking about the guys that reach that point and then decide like, no, we're going to milk this out another 2-3 years. That's when enough has been enough. But the thing with Brandon Crawford, and we've maybe shared this thought or this point with other guys over the years, but the thing with Brandon Crawford is that I just really wish that the whole St. Louis Cardinals thing, that whole experiment didn't happen. You just, if he sticks in St. Louis for, I don't know, call it 3 years. Okay, it's like, he had like a little last hurrah with another squad, gave it a go, stuck around for a few years, helped bring up the younger guys and sort of serve as a mentor for them, which I'm sure he still did in the short time that he was there. But like, you're there for a year.
Yeah.
And that whole like forever giant thing sort of goes, I mean, I'm sure they're still going to call him a forever giant, but like technically speaking, can't really call him that if he's, a St. Louis Cardinal. But I mean, not to take anything away from his career, but that's just sort of the one thing that anytime I hear Brandon Crawford's name now, that's the first thing come to mind. It's like, this isn't a giant for life kind of guy.
It makes you wonder if there's part of these conversations that maybe go beyond the retirement phase. Because you look at like, when they did the signing, I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, like maybe a little bit of like some mentorship to, Mason Wynn. Like let me show you the ropes a little bit on, some things that made me so successful at shortstop.
You did say, I do remember that.
And I can see where that has its value. Maybe there's some kind of conversation that's like, hey, we're going to bring you here for a year. You may be DFA'd. You may be getting, once a week playtime if you're lucky. But I'll put in a good word for you if you want to get into coaching when you're done. Or if you want to, like, if you want a position in the front office when you're done. Maybe this is like a little bit of like a bartering going on. I don't know. And then on the Brandon Crawford side, like, what's crazy is that he kind of had a career year 3 years ago. 2021.
That was the year the Giants won like 100 plus, wasn't it? Like 102.
Someone was in the water that year, I think. 2021, he had 24 home runs, career high. 90 RBIs, career high.
107 wins.
Then an 895 OPS, career high.
Yeah, there was something going on in San Francisco that year.
I think so too.
That whole year. I mean, Darren Ruff was like in the headlines. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What sort of illegal activity is Manfred? What sort of black magic is Manfred working in San Francisco, and for what reason? Like, why?
I don't know.
What? I don't know what happened.
Totaled up a 6-1 WAR that year. So maybe it's just like, hey, that was only 3 years ago. Like, I still got that somewhere in me. But, little lack of self-awareness. I don't know. Like I said, to me, it doesn't really add up on the outside. I don't see why you would ruin what you have as like a legacy. Maybe the legacy is still there. Maybe you're forever going to be recognized as a Giant. I don't think anyone's going to remember you as a Cardinal. I don't know.
No, and I'm not saying that people aren't going to remember him as a Giant. That's not what I'm saying. He's a Giant.
I agree. It's like a small thing on the resume.
Yeah, he's a forever Giant. I'm just saying, technically speaking, it just goes to show you how hard it is and how impressive it is when guys actually do start to finish. They run the table with one team. Mm-hmm. Like, you think of Brandon Crawford, a Giant. Absolutely. But he was also a Cardinal. It just makes you really appreciate when it actually does happen, especially a career that long. I mean, not every guy's going to go out there and have an 18-year career. Like, 14 years? Like,
that's a very nice career.
That is an incredible career. I mean, he was the Giants career leader in games played at shortstop at 1,617. So
very nice.
The dude posted. That's not in question.
4 Gold Gloves, I think is what I read. Yeah, very nice. Very solid career. I won't be surprised if we see like him getting a coaching job or a front office job, or even I don't know how he is. He doesn't scream broadcast booth to me, but who knows?
I think I was reading that he wants to just take the family route and just sort of.
Then I really don't understand the 1 year in St. Louis.
Maybe disassociate from baseball. I don't know.
Pull a Brett Gardner and just fall off the map.
Hey, no
one's heard from that guy, by the way.
He gave
Nobody.
He gave us 14 years.
Yeah.
He deserves some time with the fam.
Yeah.
Go do
real head scratcher for St. Louis. Then we'll pit stop there.
Whatever. Like I said, I'm not gonna knock a guy for trying to get every last ounce, and that's what he tried to do. It just didn't pan out. But like I said, heck of a career. And the Giants will undoubtedly honor him accordingly.
What is this episode, man? This is
like I said, this is what we've been dealt. Little spice here at the end, though. We'll
all right. Give me something.
We'll spice it up a little bit here. Apparently, it was news to you because you had yet to hear about it. But Manfred, it was announced today that, or I think it was announced. It was making its rounds today. I think it may have been from a conversation with Manfred previously, prior to today. But this golden rule thing that's floating around, it's really turning some heads.
Talk to me. Fill me in. I spent all day looking at building specs. So
the golden rule, according to Rob Manfred, is this idea, I don't want to say rule proposal because I think they're still floating it around, but it would allow teams one opportunity per game to send their top hitter to the plate, regardless of the batting order. Don't even stop. Don't even with this.
This is crazy.
Don't even. Yeah, crazy, insane. Stop. We're not. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, man. Don't do it. This is a terrible idea. We talk all the time about not making baseball this like board game or this equation where you can just plug and play to like make it to maximize entertainment value. Like, just leave the game alone. Like, pitch clock. Finally came around to that, I guess. I don't know. But like, we're literally taking the structure of the game that's been around for over 100 years and just saying, that's nice, but what if we did this? And hear me out when I say that. I'm not saying that the game just has to stay the same forever. Obviously, that's not the case, because if that was the case, they wouldn't have baseball gloves. They'd still be playing with like a piece of newspaper in front of their hand to catch baseballs with. I don't know, but like, do you want me to read that again just so you can hear how insane that is?
I didn't say anything. I just gave you a face.
I saw those eyes.
No.
And you looked a little intrigued, and I don't like that.
I'm intrigued to see how that would go. And here's why. Michael Kay has had this idea. I've heard it on his show multiple times for like years now. Can I
reread the idea before we go any further?
Reread the idea. Go ahead.
Let me reread the idea here. The golden rule would allow teams one opportunity per game to send their top hitter to the plate regardless of the batting order. Proceed.
Yeah, I don't know how the logistics work necessarily, but Michael Kay has had this idea on his show for years now. He's talked about, and the logic is that like when you look at other sports, when the game's on the line, Kevin Durant has the ball. LeBron James has the ball. Steph Curry has the ball. When the game's on the line, your top player on the field in football, your quarterback, your running back, your wide receiver, your tight end, have the opportunity to get the ball. That is the logic of it.
But
now,
you can naturally manufacture that situation in basketball and maybe even football.
For
but
sure.
in baseball,
for sure. I get it.
It's
I
just
definitely
manufactured as a result of what happens during the game.
I definitely get it.
And if you're artificially manufacturing this scenario every game, then it's
I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it necessarily. I'm just saying I can see why it's an idea. I can see why it's being thrown out there. And it is interesting because of the way that we've seen the game get so mapped out and so game planned. And when you're starting to see closers come in the 7th, because that's the most difficult spot, and the 9th inning is kind of like there's games that you and I have watched that we see the game end in the 6th or 7th. We're like, if that team was going to come back, it was right there in that moment. And they don't come back and the game ends, right? We've seen those types of games. I think it's kind of interesting to have a wild card that you're like, you know what? All your analytics, all your game planning, all your mapped out, everything that's just written down and you're following the script from out 1 to out 27. Here's a joker that we're going to throw into the mix. It's crazy. It's interesting. It's wild. It's a wild card. The golden rule, is that what he called it?
Yeah, the golden rule.
How do rules? It's got to go by the. It's MLBPA too, right?
Yeah.
I can't see MLBPA going for that, but
I don't see how people can look at this and not view this as anything more than Major League Baseball trying to make itself into a video game, because that's the only scenario in which this would like actually make sense.
Sure. Yeah. No, you can't even do that in a video game. So I don't know what you're talking about there. Backyard wiffle ball, maybe.
Backyard wiffle ball. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Better example.
Throw a ghost runner. I'm coming back.
It's just insane. What do you mean? It's my turn. Shut up. I'm like 6 years older than you.
I'm up.
I'm up. Okay. Exactly. I mean, that's the kind of insanity that we're talking about incorporating into Major League Baseball, like the pinnacle of the sport. Yeah. Whoever you want to bring up to the plate, cool. Fine with us.
Yeah. It is nuts.
Sanity.
What does the official report say? That this is up for voting, that this is just it's going to be tested somewhere, like
Manfred said there, quote, there are a variety of rule change ideas that are being talked about out there. One of them, there was a little buzz around it at an owners meeting, the idea of the golden at bat. Trying to read this report. I just saw this today, so forgive me that I haven't had a chance to fully review it yet.
I don't even know what it was, so you're forgiven.
Yeah, like this article that I'm reading, it was talking about how like we could see the Ohtani Trout thing like every game. I'm sorry, but if you manufacture this situation every night, that Ohtani Trout moment no longer is the Ohtani Trout moment. Why was that so incredible? Because it was manufactured naturally.
Sure.
And it was like, and we talked about it when it happened. Like, we never get to see something like this. And now we're seeing this on the grandest stage. And people can say, like, oh, it was rigged. It was the World Baseball Classic. Sure, but like, do you realize what kind of intricacies are involved in rigging a situation like that? Stop.
I'm not surprised that this is being brought up though, because like everything is trended this way. Everything is like the fact that we went interleague play, the fact that we went to now it's all year, and now it's mixed in randomly, and you're going to both ballparks. Like you're splitting it halfway through the season, like. Those moments of getting to see the Yankees in Wrigley or the Cubs in Fenway or, you know, whatever it may be, I'm not surprised that this is coming about. I'm not surprised. I think that's my biggest thing. Like
but where do you draw the line? We talked about this. It's
rule
when you
change
start
would you rather have? Would you rather have robo-umps or this? Because I'll take this over robo-umps.
Don't
personally.
Put that evil on me.
I would if you had to choose.
Give me robo umps because
Really?
we're already headed that way. Like that's going to happen. So like whatever, just get it over with. But we talk about this. Like, where do you draw the line? The rule changes are fine to a point. It's when you start impacting the actual game for the sake of entertainment. Like,
yeah.
Well, I understand it's a business, it's a product, but like it's
for entertaining.
It's doing fine. Like we don't need to like go so far beyond, you know, like being able to look at the game as in a way that reflects what it used to be to where it just becomes so unrecognizable. And it's like, what are we even doing?
Here's a revision. Here's a revision to this. What if you could only do it in extra innings? Get rid of the runner on second. I think there could be some things that we could do to extra innings. I really do. I think there's a lot of things we could do before just throwing a runner on second freely. I think there's a lot of things we can play with there. Because a home run derby sounds nice. I'm going to be honest with you. I want to see an L screen just wheeled out there.
What is happening?
After 12 innings of tied ball game. Wheel out that L screen. Let's send it.
What is this sport? What is this game?
12 innings?
Oh my god. What is happening?
Get me on the team, Rob.
No,
I got some ideas.
Out. I'm done. I'm done. I've had it.
We calling it early? You want to play a game?
No, we're calling it. I don't want to play a game. You're going to be getting a 3-0 change up from us here soon, probably this week. I think it's going to be on pizza is what was decided. So again, if you're unfamiliar with our 3-0 change ups, it's where we pick a topic in the off season, or we pick many topics throughout the off season and we just talk about them. They're not baseball related, but gives us a little bit of a chance to spitball about some things that are of interest to us.
Bring that back.
So it'd be a little bonus pod. You'll only be able to find them on the podcast platforms that you listen to. They're not going to be live streamed. They're not going to be on YouTube. They're just going to be on the audio platforms. So be on the lookout for those in the coming days. And like I said, we'll be hopefully doing some more of those on various topics as the off season progresses. But that's all I've got.
Way to end it on a high note. I really got under your skin there. That was easy. That was easy.
Why don't we just play with a soccer ball instead? Like, you know what? People talk about how soccer's so popular. Just put a soccer ball out there. We'll play with that. Whatever. Fine.
Oh, I love it. You guys are great. Don't go chasing curveballs.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.